The capacity crowd is in, Butch. The capacity crowd, hello! Yay! Happy New Year, Happy New Year, and Happy New Year to you as well, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on podcast, and welcome to our first edition of Life's a Pitch TV for the brand new year. Good to have you along with us. What a year 2023 was for Ipswich Town. We're hoping for more of the same in 2024. Just some shout-outs, first of all, before we get underway. Our main sponsor, DPS Tech. A massive thank you also to our other sponsors, All About Hearing, marketing company Ginger Pickle, Forward Floors, Come Hither Design, the Hudson Group, Sound 4 Pro Audio, Venue 16, Fred Olsen Logistics, John Keeble Cars in Bramford, and the Dove in Ipswich. Without them, we couldn't be here with you on a Thursday night. Let me introduce you to the team. It's only Terry Butcher. No Russell Osman this week, but he'd love a cheer anyway. Hooray! Phil Ham would love one as well from twtd.co.uk. And so would Richard, John and Mark and Leslie, who are all behind the scenes, and they would love a big cheer and everything as well. That was almost rehearsed, that, wasn't it? What a crowd, Butch.
It's the best crowd we've had this year. We haven't had a crowd so far this year.
No, we haven't.
So this is the best one, yes.
No, I know.
But they always seem, I must say, the crowds have just been fantastic.
Incredible.
They really have.
I
yeah.
know.
They
Every
come
week
in,
is full.
They drink the beer. I mean, they come in and get refreshed, but they're all behind the team. You can see that. And it's resplendent in their shirts.
I think word has got out, actually, that this is a warm room with beer and snacks, and it's all for free. I think that's possibly why that we have so many people coming in on a Thursday.
Yeah, I think we've got a waiting list, haven't we?
We have indeed, yes. Yes, we have. But lovely to see you all. You look very handsome, very beautiful. Well done. And you're all looking forward to the season ahead? Yes. Fantastic. Lots to talk about tonight. And we have a very, very, very special guest this evening. Would you give a big round of applause for former Town player John Peddelty? Come on, John. Now, not only were you a player for Town, but you ended up as a police officer locally. And I'm looking at our capacity crowd. I wondered why they were moving further back. Any faces you recognise?
No, I don't think so. But
Do you want them to stand sideways on or something like that?
I can't say sideways. I'm still under the Official Secrets Act, so I can't say anything. But no, it's a pleasure to be here. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, we've got lots to talk about with you tonight, and lots to talk about as far as Ipswich Town is concerned. You get to watch them quite regularly, don't you?
Yes, I have been more this year than, well, not this year yet, but last season, watching them. Originally, I didn't go down every week. Now I am going down every week because of what I do down there to help the ex-players out. But yes, it's all a bit of a, what shall we say? I better got to be careful with my words, haven't I? Because I've been told not to swear.
We just have to tick a box. You can if you want.
No, I'm not doing that. But no, Ipswich are doing ever so well this year, and I'm very, very surprised of how they are doing this year.
Did you ever go down there as a policeman?
Yes, I did. I was down there quite regularly, as you know. We used to do Saturdays. Even on our Saturday's day off, we had to do football. That was our duty, especially the first 2 years, which was you had to get through your probation. And at that time, as you know, I probably was starting to referee, but I had to give it up because of the sort of Saturday's football. Thoroughly enjoyed it, as you do. You start out the ground and you work your way in like everything else, like the Suffolk show. You start outside the ground, work your way in. Then the big job is looking after the helicopter. And that was the item of my life, sort of thing, probably at the Suffolk show. Oh, I looked after the helicopter.
Was anybody famous in the helicopter?
I can say that, yes, but I can't remember who he was. My memory's starting to go all those years ago, but I think it was, might have been Princess Anne or one of them anyway, but it was one of the royal family. And I think my duty was to look after the helicopter for 8 hours. What
was it like policing round the ground, though? Because obviously, as a former professional footballer, were you itching to get out there? What was that like?
Well, I'll tell you this story. As I say, I was walking around when I just joined the police, as you do with your top hat on, don't you, and your raincoat and everything. And I think it was probably 1986, maybe, something like that, 4 years after I joined in 82. And I looked at this goalkeeper who was warming up for Everton. Then I said, he used to clean my boots. It was Martin Hodge, the old goalkeeper, who used to play at Plymouth, who went up to Everton. And as you know, in those days, the warm-up was just kick the ball here and there and everywhere, not like this, an hour's training sort of thing before you start. So I said, that's Hodgie. So I get on the radio, and I can't remember who was in the control room. I said, blah, 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 blah. I'm just going on the pitch, so I don't want any interruptions. What you doing? That sort of stuff, what you doing? And I shouted. I walked on the pitch, and I think it was around the old Portman Road stand. And I walked on and I said, Hodgie! And he looked round. And he said, John! And we all had a big hug on the centre spot, don't you? As you do, like this. He said, what? I just out of the blue, Martin there, and I'm thinking, Martin, you should clean my boots. And whatever, but it was nice to see people like that. And you see people like Gary Megson, who was in this starting off in his managerial career and still playing when I'd packed up. But yeah, it was good fun. And do you want another story about the North Stand?
Yeah.
As you do, you stand in the North Stand, wasn't it, before all the fencing came in to separate the supporters. And we used to have 2 rows of policemen down the middle. Away supporters, home supporters, whatever. No problems. Next thing you know, what's that? Somebody had peed on my leg. And I'm thinking, okay. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking, well, I didn't see who did it. So you can't pull him out and deal with him. So yeah, I was peed on, which is nothing to be famous for, but stories like that, and you're getting in the van and you're going round Ipswich Town Centre. There's punch-ups, more punch-ups in those days than there is now, allegedly.
Well, you must have been used to that with Bobby Robson having a few punch-ups with his players as well.
True. As I say, with the stories, when I played in the first team, it was always my mate, well, not my mate, but Cyril Lee, the old coach. He said, right, John, first 5 minutes, get close to him and kick him. And I did. And fair enough, it was one of those stories where you get close, try and not kick him deliberately, but make sure you're there, it was called, make sure you were there. And off you jolly well went. He said, and you said,
so you were a policeman, you were a referee. Do you like getting abused?
Well, I won't say anything about being abused, Terry, but no, I think being a referee is, these days, they've lost the art of refereeing.
Would you? I mean, with VAR now, would you have managed VAR? That would be interesting.
Well, VAR, you have to go along with it, don't you? You have to go along with what they've got nowadays. But
I can see you arguing with the VAR. I really good.
Oh yeah, I could. I would. But hopefully, when I was refereeing, I always used to talk to the players, and I think every time I've seen people who different places where we've been to, he says, "You refereed me." I said, "Did I?" He says, "Yeah." And I always used to say, "Well done, good tackle," that sort of thing. Always talking to the players. And all my instructions were to my linesmen were, if I'm caught out, you're in charge. And I'll go with you, even if it's wrong. And that's what we did. And we had no problems. And I couldn't. But refereeing today, to me, has lost the art. It's all about making mistakes. They're going to make a mistake, and VR will put it right. And it's wrong. But that's the way things are nowadays, VAR. And these linesmen, I can't call them linesmen, they're the assistant referees, don't make decisions. They will not make a decision. That's where my opinion is. I'm old-fashioned. I'm sorry about that, but that's the way things are.
Yep, that's the way it is.
Well, I've got some feedback for you already, because you know what it's like doing a local show amongst local people. People know you, John. And Grant Wilson's been in touch. Now, Grant was my old PE teacher at Murrayfield Junior School when I was growing up. And he's been in touch. He says, you were a brilliant referee, managed the game with humour, knowledge and common sense. Top lad, he says. So, I think that's, that deserves a...
Thanks very much. Thanks very much.
And don't worry, I've got a few more comments, but we'll save those for later.
Yeah, all right. Oh, it's just like, I'll say this now in the police, when I was in the police. If you dealt with somebody how you wanted to be dealt with, you'd done your job. And I've always, like we were saying before we came on air, that you're speaking to people, how are you, John boy? I'm fine. And it's sort of, oops, nearly knocked that off. And that's the way it was. And hopefully, I'm thinking back, I never ever dealt with a stabbing. In these days, it's all stabbings and knives. Yes, you have a good punch-up, don't we? When we were in the 80s and 90s, we had a good punch-up. But there's none of this stabbing people and killing people. Yes, the only people that were killed were the people who were murdered, put it that way. But we never dealt with anything like that. I can't remember ever, unless I was not given the jobs to deal with, of dealing with stabbings. That's the way things are. That's the way the world is nowadays.
The world has changed, sadly. Look, we've got a lot to talk about. We're going to come back and talk some more about you and your career. But it is time to take a look at the season so far. And this is brought to you in association with the Dove in St Helens Street in Ipswich. Now, we had our Christmas break, so we haven't been around for a while, so there's quite a lot to catch up on. And I believe we were here last looking ahead to the Norwich game.
Yes, very good.
Indeed.
Thank you, well done.
Yeah.
We were with Laurie Sewell, weren't we? And we
Yeah.
were all...
The canary is still deflated up above my head, thank goodness. But
Yeah, well...
do you know what? Can I just honestly say... Can I be honest now? If I never have another East Anglian derby, it will be a day too soon. I've decided that I hate that fixture now. It's just too stressful, isn't it? It really is. I mean, if we'd have thumped them, I'd be sitting here slightly differently. But
Especially when it's changed to 12:30 kickoff.
yeah, I know.
No, I do agree with you. And it's particularly when we're in a season where we've got kind of a greater ambition. Do you know what I mean? I think when George was manager, it was the same, that we'd go and play them, and they were never really contenders at that top of the what was
Well, they're certainly not
the
contenders
first
this season,
division,
are they? Let's
as
be
was
honest.
then, and this year similarly they're not really contenders. So we're kind of you get this game where it's got a lot of additional hype around it when really our focus is on promotion. And I think normal game against the side that were 14th or something when we played them. We'd have probably won it, but I think all the additional kind of stuff around it might have impacted it to some degree, and obviously we ended 2-2. But I think we should have won. I think many people are in doubt that we should have won that game. Nathan Broadhead had a couple of chances early on, didn't he? They should have taken. Uncharacteristically, didn't take those. It's actually, I think it's quite surprising when you see a Town player not score a 1-on-1 in the last little while, because they've been so clinical, haven't they? The strikers and the forwards. So yeah, a bit of frustration. You know, I think they pretty much had 2 chances, didn't they? 2 errors at the back, 2 goals.
VAR might have helped us out on that
And
occasion.
VAR would have helped us out twice, because obviously there was offsides on both of them, weren't there?
But at the end, they thought they'd won the Champions League, didn't they? Isn't that ridiculous?
Well,
Well, it just goes to show how far we've come, though, doesn't it?
I think that's true. I think they kind of built it up to be a game where they were going to get absolutely slaughtered, and as they didn't, then it was that was something to be cheered. But yeah, a disappointing result. But I think the performance was pretty decent. But you know, our wait goes on. But Terry,
Yeah, I
what's your
mean,
thoughts?
I think. Mate, you say you hate them, you don't like them.
No, it's too stressful.
Too stressful.
Yeah.
Oh, I love them. I think it's fantastic. I love it when they're down here and we score against them. It's fantastic, great feeling. But not so nice when they score. But I just think, having played in Rangers Celtic games, you know, it's still right up there with Ipswich Norwich. It really is, because you've got you know, big teams and big crowds and supporters and history and everything else like that. And these games, you look forward to these games very, very much. But, on the day, I understand it because I was nervous. I didn't want to lose to them. And when we're 2-1 down, you sort of think, oh, my goodness. But I have faith in this team that he's going to come back. It hasn't done so much at the end of December, but I have faith in them that they will come back.
The game were incredible, weren't they, with the fans out in front of the stadium?
But I thought coming on the team bus and doing all that stuff that wasn't right for me. That really wasn't right. So I thought that was a wrong move.
Why?
If anything, because you haven't won anything. Like you're going for a promotion last year. You win the game, you get promoted. We know about that, and it was something special. You win the game against Norwich, you don't get promoted or anything else. Nothing's decided, and it sort of gave me a feeling of being a bit cocky and a bit arrogant and a bit like we are Ipswich and we do this and we do that and all that. And I think that, Norwich, if I was a Norwich player, I'd have said, look, they think they've won it. They think they're going to get promotion. They're Billy Big Time and all that sort of thing. So I would have gone in, sleeves rolled up and ready to get stuck in. But I love them. I think it's brilliant. I play them every week. Would you not play Norwich every week? Yeah.
Just me then.
Yeah, that's true. But you were being honest, so there we are.
Well, it is very stressful, isn't it? It's very stressful. Then we've got to mention Leeds United, which was we just didn't turn up, did we?
I think kind of Premier League quality showed, didn't it? And it was. You talk about atmospheres and all that kind of thing. Leeds obviously had built that up to be a second v third, huge game for them, enormous atmosphere in one of the second biggest ground in the division, I think, and they just from the start they were at it and they got an early goal. If they hadn't got the early goal, might we have grown into the game? Not impossible, but they got that goal. The ground is going. Their players are on top. I think if you look at all the goals, they all come from pretty much the same thing, that we lose the ball sort of on the edge of the final third at their end, you see what I mean? And then get broken on at pace, because they've got such pace in their forwards, haven't they? The first goal was a corner, but the move that led to the corner was that. The penalty came from that. The goal in the second, all 4 goals came from the same sort of thing, just them breaking on us from deep in their own half with that pace and us being caught short of numbers. We just did. And once you're kind of 3-0 down at half time, it's you've got no chance, have you, against a side like that? And it was a chastening experience. I think Kieran McKenna probably learnt a few lessons from it, and his perhaps outlook. But we're going to teams that were in the Premier League in May, and we were in League One in May. You know what I mean? I think the team that started at Leeds, everybody was part of a League One team, weren't they? I think. So it shows how far we've gone, and the fact that we're trying to go toe to toe with them rather than in the way that Norwich came and rather sat back against us. We're going toe to toe to try and beat these sides, and obviously it didn't work out that day. But we'll come to a subsequent game in a moment, won't we? Where we played the team at the top of the division, and
let's come to them now. Boxing Day, Leicester.
Well, then yes. So we've lost 4-0 at Leeds, the team in third, and we've got Leicester City, who are top of the league and flying, and I think pretty much all of us would say that they are almost certainly going to win the league. And I think we probably deserved more than a 1-1 draw, didn't we? I think it was
second half.
Second half, we were the better team. We're the better team.
Very good second half, and I think it's so easy when you're down to Leicester 1-0, and the way they're playing and stroking the ball about and keeping possession and playing the sort of Barcelona way, tiki-taka and all that sort of thing. And you sort of think, well, it's hard to get the ball off them. But I thought they persevered really well and showed a lot of courage and a lot of guts to get back in the game and could have won it.
What do you think of that one, John?
Well, I didn't go to it, as you know. As I say, I watched it on the TV. I thought Leicester were the better side, the whole game, personally. And I thought Ipswich were looking to get a point. But where the table doesn't lie. They first, Ipswich is second. So they must be playing some good stuff, wouldn't they, to get to be second place. But all I'm going to say is I don't know if he has a plan B. That's my opinion, and I'll always stick with it. He brings on players which are the same, but they're doing it well. So what am I? I don't know anything, do I? So I'm just giving my opinion. That
well, you were a policeman, so I mean
that's true. That's true. Yeah, I was a policeman
and a referee as well.
And a referee as well.
But do you think that's what he's trying to do now? Is perhaps add a bit of variety or a bit more? I think again, coming on a bit further on another game, guile, I think, is the thing. We see the game on Monday against Stoke when they were
Quite
down.
a word for you, Phil.
Yeah.
Guile.
Guile.
Well done.
It's not that long a word, to be fair.
No, it's just...
Marmalade, there's a longer one.
No.
Wheelbarrow.
Appropriate, yeah.
And we played against 10 men for 23 minutes or whatever it was, 27 minutes or 23 minutes. And they just packed their penalty area, and we just couldn't find a way through. And I think this is your point, really, is that we just keep trying to do the same thing. And so you've got to either kind of come up with bringing new players that can find you a way through, or come up with one or two different ideas, such as bringing a 6'7" striker off the bench or something like that. I don't think that's an unfair thing. But I expect Kieran will say that his plan A has worked very well up to now.
Yeah, it has. Injuries and illness have affected us in the last couple of games, haven't they?
Yeah.
We've seen players come in, and they're not our first choice every week, and we've noticed the difference, haven't we?
He's made 22 changes, I think, in the 5 games. It's an average of 4, just over 4.5, 4.4. And and this is what's going to happen during the season. Just unfortunate. But when you've got, I think Hurst was a big blow. So I thought he led the line and has led the line very well. And you only know, I think, how good he is when he's not there. So I think that was a big blow. But when you look at the other players coming in, we talked about this early in the season about players not getting game time, proper up to match speed to come into the system. But then we had Connor Chaplin sitting here, the first episode of Life's a Pitch TV, and he said last season when they had a bad spell, not roughly around this time, I think probably a bit later or whatever it was, but he always said that they weren't particularly bothered that much because they weren't losing games, they were drawing games. And I think having lost the Leeds game to then not lose but not play particularly well, and with all the changes, we're still in a great position. We really are. And then you've got games coming. I know we've got Leicester away, but you've got games coming up that get some
games.
Get some of the injured players back, and
I've
got a chance.
I've always said that the lads who come on, I'm thinking they're not match fit. I'm thinking, where did they get their match fitness from? And once over, Terry will back me up. A long time ago, again, we used to play Saturday. Yes, it's all different change now because they've got these squads of whatever they turn out on a Saturday. I think there was 12 of us maybe on a Saturday when we were playing. But if you didn't play in the first team, you played in the reserve side, and you were match fit. So if there was an injury, you come straight in next week and you're up and running. And I'm thinking, where are these lads getting fitness from?
Well, it's all about sports science now, and they put on these training,
do they?
Yeah, routines and everything else that sort of generates the same, what they say, the same sort of energy levels and same sharpness, but you're never going to get that. We know that.
We know that, and I felt sorry for the lad. He gets a lot of stick. He comes on, but he scores goals. And one of my mates says he can't head a ball and he can't trap a ball, but he scores goals. Who am I speaking about?
Freddie.
And I'm thinking the other night, he should have scored. But I don't think he was match fit. And he's not match fit. These players are not match fit.
Well, I've actually seen him miss the chances when he was match fit. So
it's true, mate. I have as well.
But the thing about Freddie is he doesn't, if he hasn't got time to think about things, sometimes he puts it in the back of the net.
Exactly.
A rebound, bang.
Yeah.
He even gets hit in the face and it goes in. But there you go.
I think he had a chance in the Leicester game, didn't he? The ball fell to him, and he took a touch and then had a go at goal. Whereas I think if he'd have been in the team week in, week out, he'd have gone first time because his confidence would have been there. But I think you're right. I think the QPR performance illustrated this. Earlier in the season, we had the game against Wolves, didn't we? And they made 11 changes or whatever, and the players on the fringes came in, and we won. But I think because they've not been getting games week in, week out, or every other week in the Carabao Cup, they came in, the people like Dominic Ball, Freddie, all those who've not been playing. And I think that just that little lack of sharpness saw us sort of drop the overall performance down at a level.
I think the fluency, when you get so many changes, the fluency and the sharpness and the understanding isn't quite there. And when it drops a little bit, that's when we're in danger of not.
And the fact that the 5 players that were out of that game, it was Hurst, obviously, Burns, who else was missing? Morsey was missing, wasn't he? The 5 were pretty much our 5 best players, weren't they? Yeah. Broadhead was out as well.
Yeah.
And so it's very difficult for any team to to kind of.
Was Davis out as well?
Davis was out. There you go. First.
Yeah.
So it'll be very
our top
interesting to
five
see what he does this Saturday. Is it FA Cup this Saturday?
Yes.
FA Cup, yep.
So-
Are we worried about the FA Cup this season or not now? Not at all? No.
So what you're saying then is that you'd rather they get promoted and not win the FA Cup?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
you want to
well,
win
yeah,
both,
yeah,
don't
we
you?
all
You
would,
want to
yeah.
win both, don't
Ideally,
you? So
yeah.
you put you put your best team out, but I can see what he's going to do on Saturday. He'll do maybe 5 or 6 changes.
Well, not that few. I think there'll be a lot more than that, to be honest.
Whatever.
Well, his options are limited, aren't they, because of the injuries?
But
and
it is a good
people being
chance. It is a
away.
good chance
It's a
for,
good chance
for a lot
now
of these
of
players to
going-
get match fit. Yeah.
They're going through 3rd round, 4th round, 5th round. Getting the 5th round, well, you have a chance of winning something. But
But it's interesting. Kieran today, I went to his press conference today, and he was talking about last season's cup run when they played Rotherham, who were in the Championship, beat them 4-1 at Portman Road. Then they played Burnley, who were the runaway champions in the Championship last year, drew 0-0 down here, and then took them to the final minute where they lost 2-1. And he said that gave the players confidence. And I can remember Simon Milton saying this about the 91-92 team, that because they had that good run that they went through, and they played Liverpool, didn't they? Took Liverpool to a replay, though they lost, I think they came back from Anfield on the coach thinking, we've given Liverpool a game, and that they grew as a team. And I think Kieran was saying that he thought his team did that last year. So I don't think that he will take the attitude that some of our former managers have taken here, of just kind of seeing it as a kind of imposition, really, the Cup. I think he will feel that he will make changes, because obviously the league is the priority, but at the same time, I think he will pick a reasonably strong side.
Okay, well, we've poured over town. We'll talk about some news later on,
We will.
the new signing and some other bits and pieces. But back to you, John, and your playing days. Who brought you to town?
yes, a long time ago, I was scouted by John Carruthers from Carlisle, bless him, from Carlisle. I think he lived in Carlisle. Backed up by Mr. Gray, Ron Gray. And they were the 2 scouts up north, right? So basically, before that, I'd signed for Nottingham Forest as a schoolboy at 15. And I keep saying now to anybody, my advice is you do not sign any paperwork at all, because it stops you going. In those days, it stopped you going to another club. And I don't know what the rules are nowadays about academies and things like that. But if I was a youngster, I'm 15, 16, 14, whatever, I want to go to as many clubs and see what's going on, see how they perform, what they do, before you make your decisions, along with your father probably, who says, yes, you can go. Because I'll always remember now, I can see my dad now, bless him, he's 99, and we were down the old house, Copeland Road, where Terry probably's been to Evenwood, where my local village, and he said the scout was walking up and down the room. My dad was with him. I was sitting there wondering what was going on. All he wanted was my signature. I'm not signing the papers, he said. My dad, I'm not signing. Next thing you know, it's signed. And I'm thinking, right, so I'd better sign as well then. And I'm convinced to this day that he gave him a backhander. I don't know how much. I forgot to ask my dad when I went up home at Christmas to see how much he got him, but I am convinced he got a backhander. And he didn't tell me about it. He's kept all that
Did you have a large turkey that year or something?
I have no idea. I know we didn't have jam and bread, that's one thing. But no, so that was 15. And the year following, I never, ever went down to Nottingham Forest, because all they wanted was your signature. So he stopped you going to other clubs. And I said, I'm not having this. So I thought, I haven't been down yet. So what I did, I just tied up in front of him. Or did that sort of action. Oh. So after that, I was able to go to different clubs. In the village was a lad called Walter Mayers, who was a scout for Chelsea. And he'd seen me play, but every time he'd seen me play, he said I didn't play very well. But I ended up going to I was going to go to Middlesbrough. So the next thing you know is John and Ron said, come on down to Ipswich and have a trial.
Did you know where Ipswich was?
No. and I looked on the map. I said, "It's down there, farthest point of the world."
Did you pass your geography O level at all? No.
Yes, I did.
Oh, you did. All right.
I did. I
That's
did
amazing.
pass my geography lesson.
That's amazing.
I know it is. But the best thing about it was Eric came with me. Eric Gates. Eric was, as you know, should we say?
Ugly? No.
No, I can't say that. You said that. I'm not saying that. Anyway, I've known Eric since he was about 11.
Did he gamble then as well?
No, I'm not saying anything. I'm saying, and Eric was 11. We were in the same class at Balliol Modern School or Barnett Castle Modern School. So we've played together since we were 11. We've known Eric. We played school football, the district side, which you went to, the district, Bishop Auckland district side, Durham County Schoolboys, which, funny enough, Eric didn't get into. I did. Then both of us never went to England Schoolboys, which I couldn't understand. But then we came down here. Coming down, we played at Tattingstone. Tattingstone on the left hand, down the drive on the left hand side. So that was my trial match, and I've still got the original piece of paper with all our names on in a frame in my shed, as I call it, sort of thing. And there's Eric, there's George, I think Stevie Vale, bless him, was on it as well. Me, there's quite a 4 or 5 players out of there came and played for Ipswich.
And you also played for England under 16s, is that right?
I played for England on the youth team.
Yeah, the youth team.
Yeah, the under 18s when I was pro. So, but Eric didn't. I couldn't understand it.
Was he too small or something like that, or was there a height restriction?
Yeah. No, I know what you mean, mate.
Did they think he was a mascot or something?
Probably. But he didn't play. But best thing about
we'll have Eric Gates on the show next week.
Get Eric. Apparently, Eric's coming down for the Sunderland game, so you can rib him about that.
We'll get a bid in.
But as I say,
I'll be away for that. Yeah.
So you had this trial match, and Bobby watching you?
I think he was, and whoever was there watching, he offers us an apprenticeship. So you snap your hands off, don't you? And you're thinking, wow, we came down probably another 2 or 3 weeks after that and stayed. And I stayed with Mr. Robson, I call him the boss. The boss. Me and Eric stayed with the boss at Capel St Mary in his house.
Did he charge you?
No, he didn't. No, we didn't. But we had him out of the house and home, didn't we?
Well, he wouldn't have liked that.
No, I know that. We soon got out after a month, and then, as you do, you start going round your staying in digs and whatever up our Chantry.
So what team did you support when you were a boy?
When I was a boy, Sunderland.
All right, good.
Mackham, but I'm not a Mackham, everybody says. My brother Michael, he supports Newcastle, and I would dare not interrupt him when he's watching the football, like texting him, because I know what I'll get back.
What was your debut?
The actual debut was at Chelmsford in the FA Cup against Chelmsford, and that was sometime January, whenever it was, 73, was it?
Yeah.
League debut was at Liverpool in the same year. We got beat 2-1. Toshak and Keegan were up front.
What was that like then? I mean, Liverpool as your league debut, the big atmosphere and two of the biggest names in English football.
Oh, it was. And you're thinking, and there's big Tosh up there and Keegan was about here sort of thing. And basically you just had to go out and try and do a job on them and like, seriously. You know what I mean? Get close to them and whatever.
Kick them.
Well,
so you were alongside Alan Hunter, were you? Or?
No, I think it was Beat.
Oh, right.
It was Kevin, yeah. I think. And I think Millsy was left back and I think George was right back. I think Alan was injured. Yeah. Or it might have been vice versa. So I usually played if Alan or Beat got injured. But then he changed it when Beat went left back and stuff like this and whatever. But
did you ever play right back or midfield or anything like that for Town?
No.
Just centre half?
Just centre half. I can't run, can I?
Well, I was going to say that. But
That's true. Bit like you.
Bit like
I
me,
couldn't
yeah.
hear.
Touche.
Is that why so many robbers got away, is it?
Yeah, yeah, they did as well. Chase that man, he said. But no, it was. I did play a couple of games in midfield down for Argyle, but other than my main thing was centre half and stopping them from coming in.
And your first goal for the club?
My first goal was. You put me on the spot there now.
No, I've got it written down here.
Have you got to tell me then?
I just want to see if you remember that.
Right, my memory's going a bit. First goal.
Was it in the UEFA Cup?
Ah, yes. When we won 3-0 against Bruges.
That's right. Well done.
3-0 against Bruges down at Portman Road. And we go and get stuffed 4-0 over there.
But you didn't play in that one.
Oh, I played in both of them.
Well, that's probably one of the.
I
no,
know.
I can't say that,
True. But I'll always say that.
because you were so slow, like you.
I was, yeah. Oh, it was. We went over there, and everybody thought, well, we won this. And we didn't. And I could see it. I can see what's happening now, that half the players didn't want to know. And it's usually the case. You're 3-0 up, you get stuffed 4. We only needed 1 goal. We couldn't get one in, and I was really gutted that we got beat 4-0. And then...
Was your first own goal?
I think that must have been Stoke, was it?
No.
Where was that?
Well, according to Wikipedia, it was Sheffield United. In the
Sheffield
first division.
United?
Yeah.
Just the centre halves sitting here comparing own goals. These strikers will be comparing goals. Centre halves' own goals.
Thanks very much, Phil.
No, was it really? I thought it was Stoke down at home.
Oh, you got one. You may have got one against Stoke as well. I don't know. Yeah. How many did you score for the team? Own goals.
Well, it was either 1 or 2 then, wasn't it? But
Well,
I scored
I
5.
Could be more. Could be a lot
Could
more.
be a lot more. It could be, but I did score 5 goals for the team in the other opposite net. Yes.
6.
Were they corners, long
No,
shots?
they were
You on free kicks or
do,
something?
Do you
Or?
want to tell me about this goal? This goal I scored against Leeds?
Well, I didn't have YouTube at that time,
Oh,
so I couldn't really see it.
What?
No.
No, I've
You
still
scored
got,
against Leeds.
I did, and I've got it on my phone if you want to
Well,
see it.
just briefly describe it.
Right, the ball came in from the left wing to Trevor Wymark, bless him, who headed it down, and from 23 yards, I right-footed it past Harvey, who was in goal, into the net. How about that?
Round of applause, come on.
I've scored an own goal for longer than
Yeah, I know.
23 yards. So.
No, it was. You think of these times, but it's all about fate, isn't it? What happens and
It's
stuff
amazing
like
that you seem to remember your goal and not your first own goal. But there we are.
that. Well, I'll get stick about that.
There's a selective memory, but there we
No,
are.
it's not.
Didn't you have quite a nasty injury at some point in your career? It was
Well,
fractured skull.
yes,
or-
it was sort of in the middle. I fractured me skull, as they say. It was right in the middle here. And the best thing about it was, if it was fate, if it had never happened, I wouldn't be sitting here. It's all about fate, isn't it? That day, I should have been in Carlisle on the Saturday, but the boss came in and says, "I've got to bring him back. I've got to bring him back." I said, "No, you haven't." And that was big under because he was injured, and that was at Carlisle. It was the away game at Carlisle. See, because I've got it on my phone, the actual date of pictures and some pictures, and I says, "Oh, righto then." So I rang up my sister or whoever. They'd organise a coach from the village to go through to Carlisle. There was 50 odd on the bus to go through to Carlisle, so that was cancelled. So I played down here, and we played against Oxford United
in the
reserves.
reserves. Yeah.
And as you do, you're going up, and what happens? I can see it now. The little lad comes across like this, and I'm going up to head it, and I hit the back of his head. And next thing you know, none of this, what do they call it today? This head where you get checked out and everything like
Concussion
that.
protocols.
yeah.
Concussion thing. There's Ian Collard. Come on, John, get up. Come on, get up. And I've said, I can't get up. So, as you do, that's what the injury was, and it's fate. it's all about fate, really, and it's all about fate of. Apparently, the story is that Newcastle United came in for me, but they got Big Glenn instead, Glenn Keeley. It's fate. So if I hadn't fractured my skull and fucked up, I wouldn't be in the police. Maybe don't know what you're doing, do you? It's all about fate.
Sliding doors.
So, I was saying, was there any kind of concerns for your career at that point?
Well, yeah. What happens is you get fit again after 6 months, and I'm back pre-season 6 months. And that was 75, wasn't it? So 76, you go down to Plymouth. Well, I suppose you're going to ask me about that later on. But everything starts again from there. But people say, you've got pensions. I says, I've got nothing from football. I have absolutely nothing from football. What we've earned or what we've got, me and the wife have worked for. And that's the way it is.
You mentioned the Plymouth deal, which brought Paul Mariner to Ipswich. So thanks for that.
Well,
you took one for the team, literally.
I did, because the boss said, if you don't go, it deal's off. I said, no pressure then. So
Well, that really is the back and beyond. If you think Ipswich is a long
and I'm
way.
thinking, well, Terry's up there as well.
Did you know where Plymouth was at the
No.
time? No.
There's you and Terry Austin, isn't it?
It was me and Terry in the deal. I got a picture as well. But so I've gone from Ipswich, the farthest point on the east coast, down to Plymouth, which is the farthest point on the southwest coast, and then you're travelling from Plymouth every week to, say, Carlisle, up into the Midlands and wherever. But you get used to it. You got used to it. You had a nice bus, or coach as they called, and you got on it. You just got on with it. None of this, we can't get the plane back from Newcastle to Manchester, so they had to get the bus, which... Yeah, I'm not saying who it was, but you know who I meant, don't you? It's utter nonsense, but there you go.
The arrival of Mariner was amazing, though, wasn't it, for Ipswich?
Well, I think that was the start of it, wasn't he? And you look at some of his goals he scored. Well, what was it, 6-0? Was it 6 or 9-0 he started?
7.
7.
7 against West Brom first, his debut.
West Brom, that's right. And what can you say about him? And he came on international. And did his job, didn't he? Nice lad.
Because I was there, I just joined the club in '76, so I never really had a chance to play alongside you at all, and it's virtually like hello, goodbye sort of thing for me. But obviously when Maris came, it all changed. But when I first joined the club, you were there, and it was very much a case of, well, you were ahead of me. In the pecking order and all that sort of thing, you were quite a way above me, and I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, I've got no chance of getting in the first team. Not that you have ambitions at 17 years of age, but you sort of think ultimately that's where you want to be. But to get through that, I've got to be better than the people on Dale Roberts, yourself, and all these other great Hunter,
well, that's what I'm saying. There was
Russell.
Dale, there's me, Dale, Glenn. Who else was there? Kevin, he played centre.
Well, Russell as well.
Russell came
in.
So then all of a sudden you got to think, well, I'm not going to get a game, but it's fate, isn't it? It's like fate. You do this, you go to Argyle. The best thing about Argyle, I got a pay rise. It was. I got
Which
a pay
Mr.
rise.
Robson wasn't famous for giving out, was
No, apparently he says, "There's your contract. Sign it." What? He says he had them all lined up on his desk. Picked it up. All right. Yeah. And you signed it. But when I went to Plymouth, I got £25 a week pay rise, which in those days was a lot of money to me. A lot of money to me on leaving. Do you want to know what I was on? Because I've told everybody round here sort of thing. I was on £100 a week when I went to Plymouth. So I got £125 a week for basic. You got £25 or £30 for playing in the Football League in those days, which we did.
Appearance money, yeah, is that right?
Well, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But lucky enough, down in Plymouth, you got a bonus of crowd money. But every week you were getting good crowds. Plymouth were doing quite well when I went down there, and one week you're earning £300 a week, and I'm thinking, well, that's good money, that is. But in those days there was no pensions, and you're thinking, well, you got to save it somewhere. This is this is when I finished later on, pensions were coming in, weren't they? And at 35, that's when you could retire from and get your your football pension. I thought, well, I'll have a bit of this. But the best thing I ever did was Terry Austin's dad, bless him. Terry's dad was in pensions and insurance, and he got me an accident insurance, and it paid out because of the thing. Without that, I would have been in the cart, as they say, because I had no trade. You have nothing, do you? No trade. All you knew is football. Yes, I had me prelim FA coaching badge, but what's that going to get you? So we just have to do what you have to do. And we decided to come back to Ipswich.
Well, it's a great career that you had for Town, for Plymouth, in the police force as well. We'll talk about Speedway and golf a little bit later on, but for now, give John a big round of applause. And it is time on Life's a Pitch TV for this week's Keep It Up Challenge. Sponsored by our friends at Ginger Pickle. And John, we have a ball here, and you very kindly agreed.
Did I?
You did. You had a.
Somebody said I can't keep them up with these shoes on.
You had a practice earlier. Come on. Oh. There you go. Look, you've only got to get.
I mean, as long as I beat. Is it Steve?
Yeah, Steve McCall.
Steve's on 5. Terry got 3.
I got 3, so there's no pressure.
Yeah, give him a big round of applause. Come on, capacity crowd. What a good sport. So, John, hold on. Just wait a second. So, Terry's going to time you. You've got 60 seconds, okay? Phil's got a whistle. And once you start, okay?
As many times you can.
Without finishing. And it's 79 to beat from Scoey. Is that all right?
He's got 3 legs.
He did it all on one foot. Yeah. Okay, are we ready? Whistle. 7, 8. Oh, almost double figures. John, no, you can't. You've got to finish now. That's it. That's it. No, come on.
Fouled by Ed Sheeran.
That's it.
8.
So I'm nearly knocked off now. It's just quite
more
good.
than Steve McCall. Yes. Well, give him a round of applause. Well done, John.
Actually, your shoes look like they're just missing the studs because they're like the steel toe cap. So just how you used to play.
I did have a pair of boots like them.
Did, yeah.
I did have a pair of boots like them.
Well done, and thanks to Ginger Pickle for sponsoring that segment of the show. Don't forget, if you are watching on YouTube, smash that like button, subscribe as well. You'll get notifications of when the show comes out. We'd love you to do that. And if you want mugs and T-shirts, they're available from lifesapitch.tv. So www.lifesapitch.tv. I know lots of people got those for Christmas. Time now for the Town News in Brief, sponsored by John Keeble Cars of Bramford with Phil Ham from twtd.co.uk. Get that news hat on. Come on, here we go.
Life's a Pitch TV news in brief. Jeremy Sarmiento, first transfer news of the window, or first incoming transfer of the window. Jeremy Sarmiento on loan from Brighton, joined yesterday. 21-year-old Ecuadorian international, spent the first half of the season on loan at West Brom, but the Seagulls recalled him due to his lack of games. Effectively a replacement for Dane Scarlett, who was recalled by Spurs as cover for injuries and players away at the Asian Cup. He's going to make his debut, I think, on Saturday at AFC Wimbledon. Kieran today at the press conference said they're sort of assessing how much of that game he can play. It's an exciting player, I think. We'll have a bit of a chat about him in a minute. But aside from that, the early days of the window, I've also seen young Australian striker Teti Yangi leave the club to join Livingston in Scotland for an undisclosed fee. He had a couple of spells on loan in Finland as well as a stint at Northampton. And Livingston have revealed that Town have got a hefty sell-on should he prove a success north of the border, which basically means if Rangers or Celtic quite like the look of him, if they sign him, which is what happens, isn't it, Terry, I think? Yeah. The best news, obviously, is that signing. The worst news we've had this week is that, as we've alluded to, George Hurst is out till pretty much the end of the season. Kieran said at this press conference after the game at Stoke that He's going to have an operation, which I think is early next week. It's going to keep him pretty much out for all but the last knockings of the season. A big blow, really, because as we've said before, he's such an important player to us. As Terry says, perhaps don't notice quite how good he is until he's missing. It's sort of a frustrating parallel with 2014-15, when Town were well placed in January, but lost Dave McGoldrick to an injury, which and only came back to play a bit part in the playoffs. So
at least this time we've got money, haven't we?
Well, that's true. That's true. Unfortunately, David McGoldrick got injured after the transfer window had closed at that point. But we had already signed Freddie Sears, who came in at that point. But Kieran says that the extent of the injury doesn't particularly add to the urgency because it was already after a number 9 anyway. So watch this space. He said this afternoon at his press conference that really nothing imminent, so we may have to wait a little while. Jay Stansfield, known to be a target. Whisper I heard earlier in the week is that Fulham might want him to stay at Birmingham because he might play more often at Birmingham. But obviously Wayne Rooney's been sacked as manager there, so things could change. So I think
that was a great move by Birmingham.
I know they did very well, and now
they've
taken having gone for this big name. They've now apparently looking towards Tony Mowbray, who would obviously be a much more sensible appointment in the first place.
I think Brighton have moving in more directions than a weather vane. The owner said, the chairman said, we're now moving in another direction, but he'd already said that to get Wayne Rooney in from John Eustace.
Birmingham,
So, how many directions does a football club want to move in?
Well, yes, that's true. And finally, a few of us have been caricatured for this show by Dan Thomas from Come Hither Design, but one of us escaped that treatment from now, but no longer. Award-winning Perth caricature artist and Western Australia-based town supporter Terry Dunnett has filled that gap. Terry's caricatures can be found on... Richard? Terry's caricatures can be found on Facebook and Instagram. Look for Terry Dunnett caricatures or via his website, terrydunnett.com.au.
Yeah, thank you, Terry.
And this is now appearing on our screens.
Is that in proportion, do you think, at all? I thought you could have had a bigger head, really. I think. Wow, that's
so there
amazing.
you go. It's got a little dead canary at the bottom, if you see as well.
Oh, fantastic!
Oh, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I think we will supply you with a framed copy of this.
Wonderful. I think
that's a good one.
And Terry tells us that caricatures of Kieran McKenna and Ed Sheeran are in the works as well.
Brilliant.
And there endeth the news.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you. I feel like I've arrived now with my own caricature.
You've made it now, haven't you?
I have. I feel comfortable now. Let's have a look at what's happened to ITFC on this day, brought to you in association with Fred Olsen Logistics.
Okay, well, Russell's not here, obviously, so I've got the book. And
Can you read?
Yeah, I can read a bit, yeah. It's very small writing, but there we are. It's on Tuesday, the 4th of January, 1949. A certain Michael Mick Dennis Mills was born in Godalming. But it was obviously a very, very small cot he had. And didn't grow much after that.
Yeah.
Portman Road legend Mick Mills' total of 741 appearances is a club record. And during an illustrious career, he lifted both the FA and UEFA Cup. He also won 42 caps for England, captaining them at the 1982 World Cup finals. And there's a picture of the team lined up for the national anthems. And Mills is obviously with the captain's armband, and he's standing just like a soldier would. Impeccable captain. Mills, who later managed Stoke City and Colchester United, can rightly be considered one of the Ipswich Town greats.
Yeah, round of applause. Happy birthday, Millsy.
Happy birthday.
And he's now 99. No, he's 75, I think he is. 75, carried away by your father.
We'll keep trying to persuade him to come on.
Yeah.
I have a word with him every week.
Yeah, we keep asking.
Yeah,
we'll
he
get
does.
him here one of these weeks.
If he's watching this, which is probably way past his bedtime, we would love to see him here, wouldn't we?
We would indeed. And Warky. We keep asking Warky to come
we'd have to have a booster seat for Millsy, but there we go. On Saturday...
Well, maybe if we get Gatesy as well, we can...
both of them, yeah.
If we can invest, it would be worth spending some money, wouldn't it?
Well, yes, you get two people on there for the price of one, yeah.
Gatesy.
Saturday, the 4th of January 1964, New York-born Gerard Baker scored a hat-trick as Town walloped Oldham Athletics 6-3 in the FA Cup. Baker was to score 66 goals in 151 Town starts after signing from Hibernian in '63 for £17,000. And finally, on Saturday, the 4th of January 1997, at a snow-clad City ground, the Blues were thrashed 3-0 by Stuart Pearce's Nottingham Forest in the FA Cup third round. The game was notable for Ipswich-born future England international Kieran Dyer's debut. The skillful Dyer made 112 appearances before Newcastle brought him for £6.5 million, slightly different to the £17,000, the highest fee received for an Ipswich Town player. So
It is, I think, isn't it?
that's
I
the
think you could be right, yeah.
that's the news on the in history for the 4th of January.
Fantastic.
Jerry
Thank you,
Baker's
Butch.
brother was Joe Baker, wasn't he? Jerry Baker
Yes.
Baker played for the US, and Joe Baker played for
That's correct. Yes.
England. England, yeah.
Yep.
Some comments from our socials for you, John.
All right.
James Easter's been in touch.
Oh, James, yes.
A lot of people know James Easter in the crowd here. A lot of people know James Easter everywhere. Hello, James. He watches every week. Says you're a big Speedway fan. Is that right?
Yes, correct. Yes, I've been watching Speedway since I was probably about 11. Yes, we used to go to the old Middlesbrough Stadium, the Middlesbrough Bears, at the Cleveland Park, with me sister and brother-in-law. That's him. So yeah, I've been watching that and came down and carried on with it, sort of thing. And even went to. She loved me for saying this, but I think we come back off honeymoon in '75. That's a long time ago. And we actually went to the Speedway on Saturday afternoon up at Vauxhall. There was a World Championship round on, I think. So we ended up back in Vauxhall watching Speedway. In those days, she liked it. She doesn't like it anymore. So
I wonder why.
I wonder why. Yeah.
They did well last year, didn't they?
Yeah, Speedway is just talking to John now. They should have won the double last year, but hey ho, it was never been raced in my opinion if it hadn't have been on TV. But there you go, because it was like they ran the first leg against when Ipswich were playing at home on the Tuesday night, and they never ever do that. So they lost probably about 1,000 to 1,500 people for that night. Still got a good crowd, but yes, they got beat by Sheffield. Whatever. I think they'll win something again this year.
Good side, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ashley Jordan's been in touch. I know John quite well. We live close. Always up for a laugh. Good golfer as well.
What, Ashley?
No, you.
Well, me. Well, first time I played today for about 6 weeks. But yeah, Ashley's a very good friend. So if you want driveways doing, just give me a ring. Actually,
I do actually. So that's quite handy.
Ashley's into driveways and other things.
Mark Jepson, who was in the police force as well,
yes,
says what a great guy you are. And Nathan, I was invited to go on a golfing holiday with John, Suffolk Constabulary outing to the Algarve in 2001. Smashing holiday and a smashing gentleman.
God, it's a long time ago, isn't it?
Yeah.
But well, you say that in my shed, should I say?
How big is this shed of yours?
About that.
Okay.
It's I've got scores going back from about 2001. Every trip we did, every year, we've got where we went and the scores and everything. Yes, I do like me golf.
Do you never get out of your shed then, because you've got all these scores and everything in there?
Yes, I do get out of my shed.
Okay, right.
Yes. But
Apparently, you were captain of Ipswich Golf Club. You were the second Ipswich player to have had that role, along with John Ellsworthy before you. Apparently, I'm reading.
It's not
here.
Ipswich Golf Club, it was Rushmere.
Rushmere. Oh,
Rushmere, but it was called Ipswich Golf Club, I think, years ago, till they went to where it's at now. It's called Purders and Ipswich Golf Club. Yeah, I was captain in 2010. No, sorry, 2012. Yes.
What we haven't touched on is your career as a sports master.
Sports master?
Yeah. Did you teach PE or anything like that?
No. That might be my cousin Morris.
Well, Stephen's been in touch. John was my sports master at Sir John Lemon High School in Beccles.
Ah, right, that's Morris.
Ah.
My cousin used to play for Darlington.
Suffolk is a village.
Yes. Morris used to play for Carlisle and Darlington in the old days, and he packed up, and then he went to be a teacher and became a headmaster. And one of his teaching schools was the John Lehman School up in Beccles. And I haven't seen Morris for about 2 or 3 years. Well, last time I saw Morris was when my dad's 90th birthday. So that's.
Well, Stephen says, can we ask you about the Barsham run and the medicine balls? But clearly we can't, can we?
No.
No, so we'll leave it on that.
No, I can't remember that one, mate. But
Get Morris on the phone.
But it's like Morris. You look at Morris and think, hang on a minute. You look at different games and think, well, Morris didn't play. It was me, because they get people mixed up, don't they? But Morris was a good player. Yeah, he was a good player.
Well, so are you, John. We're out of time. Give John a big round of applause. John Peddelty. And we are literally out of time. Thank you, Capacity Crowd. You've been amazing. Best one so far this year, Butch?
Yep, easily the best.
Easily the best. Easily.
By a mile.
Don't forget, if you want to keep in touch with what we're up to, check out our socials. That's Facebook, Insta, and X. And YouTube. If you watch, please like and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. Just helps us with the channel. And don't forget, if you want goodies, go to lifesapitch.tv. www.lifesapitch.tv. Thanks again to our main sponsors, DPS Tech. We're also supported by All About Hearing, marketing company Ginger Pickle, Forward Floors, Come Hither Design, the Hudson Group, Sound 4 Pro Audio, Fred Olsen Logistics, John Keeble Cars in Bramford, and the Dove in St Helen Street in Ipswich. Thanks very much for watching and listening. We'll be back next week. Thank you, Capacity Crowd, and up the town, everybody!
Hey!